Hi, everybody. Hey, everybody. I'm Tildy Wahardo. I am the founder of Womanars, and it is my first broadcast at Women Helping Women Entrepreneurs, and I'm really excited to be here with all of you. And if whether you're watching live or whether you're watching on demand, please let me know where you're watching from. I'm going to give some of you a little bit of time to hop on. I know it's early in some places on the East Coast and in the U.S. I'm currently coming to you from Zagreb, Croatia, where I landed about a couple of weeks ago now, maybe about 10 or so days that I've been here now. So I am really excited to be here and just to give you some information about limiting beliefs and hopefully give you some tools that will help you to overcome any of the belief systems that you've kind of grown up with that are hindering you from achieving the goals that you really want to achieve. So just to tell you a little bit about myself and how I came to do what I currently do. Like I said, I'm the founder of Womanars, and I teach and train women how to transform their fears into action and their limiting beliefs into unlimited possibilities using spirituality and positive psychology practices, and really help them to have more impact and influence in their world, in their communities, and in any other way that they want to show up. Really, my main passion is to help you succeed in the areas of life that you want to succeed the most. So let's talk about limiting beliefs. This is one of my favorites because my own story and why I'm so passionate about it is because I was able to overcome a pretty traumatic childhood. I was sexually abused from the time I was 5 till I was about 12, and it really affected me throughout my young adult life. It wasn't until my mid-20s where I had a miracle happen, which led to my enthusiasm and love for spirituality, that I really started to transform my limiting beliefs and the self-worth issues that I was having, and transform my life going from angry, shamed, ashamed, and fearful into a life full of joy, love, and freedom. And so I started teaching women at a very young age, in my late 20s, early 30s. I was mainly teaching Bible studies at that time on training women how to reprogram their minds and using the practices that had helped me do that. And so when I then heard of positive psychology a few years ago, I realized that I had used those same tools or practices that were now being taught in positive psychology, but I had been using them since my late 20s and stuff. So I went and I got certification in psychology and started to combine that along with the spiritual teaching that I had been teaching, but really started to see things or women be able to transform their own lives and their own minds a lot faster and quicker using both of these techniques, just like it had helped me do the same thing. So that's why I'm really passionate. I'm really excited about using those two processes and practices to help you overcome whatever it is that's keeping you stuck and keeping you from living the life that you really want. So what is a limiting belief? Pure and simple, it can be anything that keeps you from being, doing, or having anything you want, or that one thing that you really want to achieve. They really keep us from being our best and truest selves, and they keep us from doing what we really yearn to do. Think of that thing that you've always wanted to do and you just haven't been able to push through, that fear or limiting belief that keeps you from doing it. It also keeps us from having things that we've always wanted to have. I call them our biggest dream killers. because basically they keep us stuck and they keep us from changing things that are really important to us. They keep us from doing practices that will keep us just in the place where we're not moving forward. In this short class, I'm going to be showing you how to identify a limiting belief and how to work to overcome them so you can show up in the world confidently and courageously. What I want you to do first, though, is take a look at your overall life. I want you to take a quick assessment, and on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being miserable, and 10 being over the top, goo goo gaga, happy, and more than satisfied with that area of your life, how would you rate each of the following areas of your life? So from 1 to 10, how would you rate your relationships? 1 to 10, how would you rate your spirituality? Your finances? Your business? Your career? Your physical health, your mental and emotional health. Now, all of these encompass pretty much our entire life when you take a look at every area. So if you answered 8 or higher, you're in great condition in that said area. That's what we call the thrive area, 8 or more. If you answered 7 or less, there's room for improvement, and there's nothing wrong with that. For this class, I want you to focus on that one area where you scored yourself the lowest. Because we normally tend to struggle with that area because it's in that area that we have the most limiting beliefs. So, and that's where they show up because we're not as happy or we're not thriving in that area the way that we really should be or want to be. So how do you know if you have limiting beliefs? Here's some good news. Everybody has them. You're not alone. I'm not alone. Everybody has them. We all struggle with them. And it's not like we're ever going to be rid of all of them. We're just going to be able to know how to overcome them and how to push through them and how to get rid of them, really. We've built them up throughout our lives about ourselves, about others, and about the world. Sometimes they show up as stereotypes. Sometimes they show up as little voices in our head that come from our past that say we're not good enough, we're not pretty enough, we're not successful enough, we're not whatever enough. And the 3 killers for women in particularly are what I call the 3 fatal C's. And that's comparison, competition, and critique. So in and of themselves, I mean, when we think about comparison, there's a healthy side of comparison and there's an unhealthy side of comparison. So when we're continuously comparing ourselves to others or trying to measure up to others, that's where it can become a little unhealthy. Okay? If we're continually comparing our value or our self-worth because we're not like so-and-so, then that's a serious problem. That's an unhealthy comparison. We're also, trying to beat the Joneses. We don't have as many cars. We don't have as much money as they do. We don't, our business isn't thriving or seem as successful as as hers does. So comparison is one of the 3 fatal C's, or one of the C's that I call fatal for us as women, is that we're continually comparing ourselves. And so where comparison, where we need to stop that is when we're confident about ourselves. We're confident about who we are. We're confident about showing up uniquely, as authentically as we are. Yeah, we might compare ourselves to somebody else, but in a healthy way, to healthy characteristics. Like, gosh, she's always so kind. How can I be more kind? But in my own unique way. You don't have to be exactly like her. My best example that I use for this is my sister. My sister is the most loving person that I know. She also has a memory that, like, no one I know either. She remembers everybody's birthday. All you have to do is tell her once, and she remembers your birthday. And you know, she'll go out and get you a gift or whatever, just make you feel really special. I am not like her. I have never been like her, and I beat myself up for years thinking that I was this bad person or less than because I didn't remember my own parents' birthday. Okay, I know that's really bad, but so what I finally did is I told my sister what, you know, how I had been comparing myself to her all these years, and she said, Tilly, she says, you know, don't do that. You know, you are uniquely made the way that you are. And she says, and I want to be more like you because you find it so easy to say no to people. She says, I find it really difficult to say no to people, and I admire you for being you and being able to do things like that. And so that really clicked with me, and it made me realize I am uniquely made. I'm not supposed to be like my sister. I'm supposed to strive maybe to be like my sister. So now I put people's birthdays in my calendar to remember them more often, but I'm not her, and I'm designed totally different to do things uniquely. And so comparison stops us from being and showing up in the world the way that we were made to show up in the world. So really think about that. How is comparison stopping you from showing up authentically and uniquely just as you are? How is it stopping you from becoming or growing a business that reflects your personality, not anyone else's personality? The other thing is competition. Second C is competition. Competition in and of itself is healthy, right? I mean, I grew up playing basketball, volleyball, all sorts of sports. And competition is great because it taught me how to lose gracefully and how to win gracefully. It has the it teaches you teamwork. It teaches you discipline, you know, when you're in competition with other people. But when you're constantly manipulating or maybe cheating a little bit to get ahead, that is not healthy competition. Healthy competition is when you know that there's enough for everybody, when you're okay both winning and losing, and you're not a sore loser. You know, you're not manipulating systems just so that you can get ahead. So competition, second of all, is, you know, a fatal C if you're competing and you have a I guess what I call healthy competition is when you think the world is big enough for all of us and there's enough in the world for all of us. The unhealthy competition hoards everything, is very stingy, is not willing to share with others, and shares very for self-gain, perhaps. So really think about the competition and how you keep competition from a business standpoint. You know, are you going into relationships and collaborations with open arms, or are you still holding back? So limiting beliefs can really affect the way that you collaborate with people, because if you for whatever reason believe that somebody's going to steal from you or there's not enough, you know, those limiting beliefs can really stifle a business. And just because you don't think that, you know, or you believe just because you've done business with somebody and they've betrayed you, that everybody now is going to betray you. That is a limiting belief. That is an example of a limiting belief, and something that might be hindering you from really having great relationships and collaborations with other people. The third critical C is critique, being too critical of yourself or others. And this is the I'm not good enough mentality, or the limiting belief. And this one, I know many of us as women, I'm certainly guilty of it myself. And we tend to be our worst enemy, be our worst critique or critic, by honing in on everything that's wrong with us. And we're continually striving to be better, which is okay. But in reality, what we really need to be doing is concentrating on what's right with us, not what's wrong with us. And this is great for kids too. I mean, how often when you were a kid did your parents always point out what was wrong with you or what you were doing wrong? How often did they actually tell you what you were doing right? And if they did tell you what you were doing right, what did it feel like? It made you want to do it more. It made you want to please your parents more, or please whoever it was that you were pleasing. That's exactly the way that we need to talk to ourselves. We need to know what our strengths are, and we need to learn how to leverage those strengths, whether we're in relationships, business, wherever, your career, if you're trying to strive in your career or get ahead in your career, you need to know what your core strengths are. If you don't already know what your core strengths or core values are, there's a great free online tool that I like to recommend to everyone that I work with, and it's called the VIA survey. And you can go to V like Victor, I as in India, A as in Apple, survey, survey.com, and it's a free assessment that you can take that will give you your top 5 strengths. Highly recommend you do that, because you can't focus on what's right with you by not knowing what your top strengths are and how to leverage them. So take a look at them and read up on how to leverage them. If you need any help, feel free to reach out to me. You can reach me here on Facebook or any other way. So what other clues are there that you might be having some limiting beliefs? And here are some physical ways that it can show up, because limiting beliefs can actually make us feel stressed and very sick. I mean, they show up physically for us when we don't deal with them. And you might have persistent agitation, you might have anger management problems, you might even start to feel queasy sometimes when somebody asks you something about yourself, and you start to get nervous because you don't like talking yourself up, or you don't like talking about yourself in a positive way to other people, so you get anxiety. You might even feel a little depressed. You might feel really foggy or confused about making the right decisions for yourself, and other emotional issues that come along with limiting beliefs. And another really important clue to look out for is the way that you talk to yourself. How do you talk to yourself? How do you talk to other people? And really about the world. Do you say things that are positive about yourself, or mostly negative? Do you complain a lot? Do you blame a lot? All those are clues about what your beliefs are. And so, really start to become more self-aware about the way that you're talking about yourself, the way that you're talking about other people. How do you talk to your kids? How do you talk to your spouse or your partner? All those things really say a lot about you and what your belief systems are about yourself. And so most recently, I did my own battle with limiting beliefs, and because I was contemplating whether or not I had spent 6 months last year in Spain and Croatia. And I had come to Croatia to not knowing a soul, really. I just felt in my spirit. I followed my spirit to Croatia for the first time. And I reached out to some people here that ended up being great collaborators. I ended up working at a co-working space here in Zagreb, Croatia. And I mean, just wonderful people. The reception I got was just incredible. So I had been asked to come back this year, and I had scheduled to come back in March of this year because I had gone back to the States, gone back to Dallas. I'm originally from Dallas, Texas. And so I had gone back in December and had planned to come back in March. Well, things just kept getting pushed back and pushed back. And I thought, you know, am I really supposed to go back to Croatia, or am I just supposed to stay in the States? And I really struggled with it because it was one of those limiting beliefs, right? That I doubted myself and I doubted my intuition that had told me last year that yes, you're supposed to go back and this is what you're supposed to do and this is what you're supposed to teach and this is what you're supposed to speak about. And so I don't know about you guys, but my faith is critical to me, and my spirituality and my spiritual health are essential to my well-being. And part of everything I do is because I find I follow my intuition and I follow my spirit. And so I went back, and when I started to have these doubts about whether or not I should come back, I asked myself these questions, and hopefully they'll trigger some of you to, you know, ask yourself the same question, or maybe ask yourself some questions that are unique to your own situation. But these are the questions I ask myself. Do I feel good and at peace in my spirit when I think about it? So I prayed and I meditated. And every time I prayed, or every time I wrote in my gratitude journal, I thought back and I just felt like my spirit soared. You know, I was truly happy. I was excited about it. The second question was, do I believe I can make a difference there? And so I had to check in with my heart and my gut, and to look at it from a real perspective. You know, do I believe I can make a difference there? And the fact is, when I was here the first time, I did make a difference. And so, yes, I thought I could make a difference, come back and make a difference again. And even more so with more time here. So the third question I asked myself, will I be surrounded with people who align with my core values, are excited to have me, and are true collaborators? For me, are the three things that I always look for in anyone that we collaborate with at Womanars. We do three things. We inspire, we educate, and we collaborate. And so when I thought about the people that I was going to be coming to and coming back to and collaborating with, you know, they fell in line with all those three things. And so I knew that they were excited to have me because I had been talking to them since I was gone. And I knew that they were true collaborators because of the collaboration we had already had. So your environment is more important than you think. And so when you think about your own circumstances, your own business, you know, what does your environment look like? Is it conducive to the results that you're looking for? And are they helping you break through your limiting beliefs? Are they providing different experiences for you? What is that environment like for you? Fourth question I asked, do I believe I can succeed? And this is a go or no go question. There is no gray area here. And so you really have to believe, when you ask yourself this question, you really have to believe it. And the answer for me was yes. I do believe I can succeed here. And lastly, I listed the times I've stepped out in faith and never had regrets about it. You really have to learn to become your biggest cheerleader and your biggest fan, your own biggest fan. Because there's times when, and a lot of times as an entrepreneur, when you have to know whether or not this is right for you. This instance in me coming back to Croatia and teaching here, knowing really what I was coming back to, I just had to know. I had to have that resounding yes in my spirit. And you feel it in your gut too. I mean, think of the times that you've gone against your intuition and what that has looked like or done for you. I know for me, it's always wreaked havoc. And so really think about those questions that you need to be asking for yourself. For me, when I got here, about 2 weeks ago now, had my first meeting, or actually last week, Monday, was my first meeting with the leadership here in Zagreb. that I'd be collaborating with. It answered all my prayers and exceeded my expectations with the collaboration in every other project that we're going to be working on. So I'm here to tell you, ask yourself these questions, follow your gut, get aligned with your spirit. Your spiritual health is more important to you than you realize, because that helps you tap into your intuition and your higher self, which is where our peace resides, where we get that creativity, where we get that sense of peace. All of those things are essential if you're trying to lead a business or grow a business or lead an organization. All of those things are essential for you to make the decisions that are best for you. So my question to you is, what's holding you back? What's that one limiting belief that keeps creeping back up, that's holding you back from being who you want to be in the world, or what you want your business to do in this world? I'm looking at the time, sorry. I've got a free educational email series for you called Dismantling Your Limiting Beliefs, that you can access with a link I'll provide you in the comments if you're interested in. Also, feel free to connect with me in our new Facebook group that I'm calling the Womanars Power Center. I'll be broadcasting there on a weekly basis, teaching you how you can increase your influence and impact using spirituality and positive psychology practices. And I hope to see you guys there. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions or anything about your own limiting beliefs. I'd be happy to help and help you in any way. So thanks, everyone. Be sure to connect. Be sure to share the content with anyone you feel might benefit from it. Don't keep it a secret. And I'll see you next time.